and, or did there's something that Hans picked and didn't even tell you guys?
Renee, the areas that are chosen in your time before I joined the board, remember they had done this extensive sand search and they came up with borrow areas. And
Right.
that's where the sand is coming from. So the essence is that they should be very similar to what's on the beach right now. They didn't pick new areas and we didn't do a new sand search for them. And they kept samples from when they did their work in the past. So I don't know that there's going to be much different than what we have.
Well,
But
No,
I'm asking
there was-
Daniel to
there was a-
confirm that.
With the various borough areas we had, there was a lot of difference in the various borough areas as far as the sand goes itself. So usually we would see the choices and say, okay, but if you pick this sand, it's nice, but it's gonna double the project. You pick this sand, it's this, it's that.
Well, Daniel's going to confirm that with Aptum and find out if there are
Yeah,
samples.
just find out how is it picked, or, can we see the sample, please? Just to make sure that we're not gonna pump 1,000,000 yards of sand that we're gonna be unhappy with. What did they say? Measure twice, cut once.
Mr. Chairman, I guess right now John is acting chairman for starting the
sorry,
meeting. I don't know if he passed the gavel back, but what I wanted to raise was he picked an interesting question that I don't think we've addressed adequately, which is that if we're going to make a decision on April 29th and the board has to get involved in it, you need to pick a date that is going to be a meeting at which the board can vote.
Okay,
So it needs to be either in the May board meeting, or we have to properly notice that in advance of the meeting, that's something that the board can vote at. It's set up as a briefing meeting, which typically is not a voting meeting. It requires ratification, or we would vote on the Thursday, April 29th meeting and then have to ratify it immediately thereafter in the May meeting.
okay, so we can, that's one of the dates that if the board wishes to have that slid to the May board meeting, I can adjust that in the document. Or we can advertise for a special meeting at that time.
Yeah, well, I like the idea of covering it in the Thursday, April 29th workshop meeting to be ratified in May.
Okay,
That way, keep your schedule intact.
And let me pass the gavel over to Renee, because he can probably speak better than I can right now.
Yeah, John indicated earlier he'd had some dental work done. So he's very kind to take this meeting with a mouthful of gauze.
All right, well, just to keep it simplified, because the horse has left the barn on the sand sample. Just if I can get a piece of it, and I'm sure it's fine. All right, so what is so Daniel, why don't you continue? Or are you pretty much done? I mean,
I'm pretty much
where we're
done.
at, right? Okay, and what are the other subjects on the agenda for, if any, for today's meeting?
That's everything that's on the agenda was the
Okay.
update on the project.
That's fine, then
Mr. Chairman, before you adjourn though, I had introduced the
I didn't say
item.
I was going to adjourn, Mike, forgive me.
No, but I'm saying I introduced an idea at the beginning of the meeting. I'm not
Please
sure
tell
anybody else was here, but Daniel and I,
Okay,
which was to confirm, I had received a call from David Mintz asking me if we had either organized a special meeting or we were going to raise the subject of, we said we had postponed the decision on whether or not we would advance money to the panel for the resiliency project.
right,
And I told him it was my understanding that we had said we would revisit it in April.
that's true, that's
And I
right.
just wanted to confirm that in this meeting. I told him I'd confirm it.
Yeah, of course, yeah, that's a confirm.
Okay.
All right, so this is more for John. John, now that I'm back on the board, I had asked the staff to show me basically the funds that are coming in, meaning either from grant revenue or, ad valorem revenue for either the general fund or administrative. I want to really get a good, accurate look, a black and white look on how much money's coming in, what's being spent, what's in reserves, just from a layman's perspective. And I wouldn't mind having a workshop just to go over that, to see, what are our forecasts for revenue, like with the parking. And I know we kind of go in bits and pieces, but when I spoke directly with the office once, the accountant had a lot of items placed in that were grant projections, but actually showing it as part of the budget. So I would, as chairman, feel a responsibility to understand like a business, what we're staring at financially, fund-wise, what we're paying people, all of the above. Is that something that you would participate with, John or Mike? Or I know Dick Pyle's not here, but I just think it's important for me. I can do it on my own, but I would really love to hear the overview of both of you who, one of you is an economist and the other one is a accomplished business person, especially in this particular sector as far as finance goes.
Yeah, I wasn't sure which John you were talking to.
Oh,
Renee,
no,
but yeah,
John.
I absolutely would love to be involved in terms of trying to figure out the cash flows
Yeah,
for the organization.
yeah. And can we do that like next week or something on Thursday? Is there any like,
If I may add something to
yes,
this.
please, Mike.
Yeah, okay. Is John Riegert still on the line?
Yes.
Okay, John, you'll recall that sometime in the last quarter of last year, I had been addressing this question several times, and I think Evan got involved with somebody from Apton, but I was looking for a cash flow document. I think mentioned this to Dick Pyle several times, and we produced something. I said we wanted to understand the source and use of funds. We have permit funds, we have assessments coming in, we have grant money coming in, we have the expenses to do the project going out, et cetera. And I thought that we had done a preliminary pro forma trying to address that. Do you have a copy of that document, John?
I believe that's the one we went over, you were here for that one as well too, Daniel, right?
I think that was at the very beginning.
Yeah, at the very beginning, we had like it's an Excel spreadsheet that came from Nicole, right?
Yeah, from her, I think Erica in her office did. So if you could resend that and maybe update it. I don't know if Daniel's had a chance to weigh in on it yet, but why don't you guys try to update it and call a workshop meeting? And maybe that needs to be next Thursday or whenever you're available to do it. But I think that the data has already been started. Now, what's interesting is that in a conversation with one of the banks, they said that they would structure the loan where we could lock in the rate now for the next 10 years, a fixed rate. It has to be a fixed rate in order to do assessments. They would lock in the rate and they would allow us to draw down against that only as necessary in the first year, after we've had a better chance to see how much money is coming in from the grants, and we have a much better handle on the cash flow. So it allows us not to have to use the full 18 million potential loan right up front, but yet it locks in the rate of the 18 million. And then after the first year, we would draw down the balance. And then they also had a thought about if we want to pay it off early, we always have the opportunity to pay off early, but he was talking about maybe getting some better rates. And I said, we have to be very careful how we do that, because once we lay out the model for the 10-year period, you don't want to have situations where you have fluctuating costs. We need to know all of our costs. So I'd put a question to them to clarify how they would address that. They were talking about revisiting it if rates went down at some point in the future. And I just don't know how you would handle that from an accounting point of view, because people have the opportunity, once we know all the costs of the project, and that'll be known probably in the earliest 2022, more likely 2023. Once all the costs are known, we can lay out a model that says, here's what our costs are going to be over the life of the project. Here's what we intend to get in. People are then given the opportunity, like 90 days, to pay off their share of the assessment up front without any interest charge. And the rest are then paying off over time with interest included. And we also have the opportunity to add 2% administration fee to the interest, which in the older days used to look like a fair number. These days, it looks like it could possibly exceed the interest rate from the bank. But there's a lot of issues there. And it would be nice to have a workshop meeting where we talk about these things and try to establish a better handle on it. But I like the idea of getting a loan from a bank that allows us to be flexible in the first year, only draw down what we need. So we're only paying interest on what we need. But then at the end of the year, you would kick in the full loan and we would lock it in. Then it would be locked in up front though. Which frankly, given current interest rate trends, it'd be nice to know that we could lock that in sooner than later.
Good call. I agree with that. Renee, I am available after 11 o'clock next Thursday.
Okay, let's do it for 1 o'clock then. Same time, same channel.
Yeah, John, we have a traditionally noticed meeting at 1 o'clock where board members can meet. Is that a conflict with you for anything, Daniel?
I would like to lock, that, pre-bid conference is scheduled for next Thursday at 1 o'clock as well, so.
Oh, oh. Well, let's do it the following week. There's no rush. I mean, we don't have to, I mean, it's something that we want to drill down on. And John, that gives you an opportunity to maybe, call the office from time to time and ask them, Jennifer some questions. Show me some sheets, show me some data. And then we have-
Absolutely.
Yeah, so let's go for 2 weeks from now if we have the.
And Renee, the availability of our treasurer is important to this, since he should be a central figure in
Well,
doing
now
it.
he's got a 2-week notice.
I'm just saying, let's reach out to him and
Yes, of course.
find out about his availability. But I think it's an important process to do that.
Yep, I agree. All right, well, that's it for me.
Can I
Commissioner,
circle back? Something,
Yes.
you had asked about the Barrow area site, 6E, if it had been used before. It is an existing, I was looking through the bid document, it is an existing sand source that has been used before. It does say that the grain size is 0.4 millimeters. I can still reach out to Aptom and see if I can get a sample of that, but it has been used in the past, if that eases any concerns.
was it used for the last renourishment?
It doesn't specify in here, but I'll
Can you
clarify with
find out?
Aptom.
Yeah, find out, because if that's the case, then that's fine. Then that's it. We're done.
Okay.
So great, all right. And commissioners' comments? Mike,
No, I'm good. Thank you.
John?
I'm fine, thank you. It's always good to see progress here.
Yes, sir. And thank you for joining us. It's nice having you on board. For sure. Absolutely.
Been
All
with
right.
us for 3 months now, and plus volunteered before that. Thank you all, anyway.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Take care. Have a great day. And
Meeting
stay
needs to be adjourned, Renee.
Oh, God. Hey, Jesus. You can dress me up, but you can't take me anywhere, right? Look, I'm even wearing a jacket. Okay, do we have to call it a motion?
I'll say move to adjourn. That's fine.
Move to adjourn. Thank you.
I second.
Be brilliant. All in favor? Da-da-da.
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
All right, thank you all. Bye. Have a good afternoon.
You
Yes,
too.
sir.
Bye.